It should be no surprise that Scientology uses tactics to target the most vulnerable population. Well, guess what? The Guardian reports Scientology-linked UK rehab center investigated by charities watchdog. Case opened after observer investigations found that vulnerable people were allegedly subjected to psychological drills at Narconon UK that left them broken and traumatized. Mm-mm-mm. The Scientology-linked addictions charity accused of subjecting vulnerable people to psychological drills that left them broken and traumatized is being investigated by Britain's Charities Watchdog. The Charity Commission said it had opened a regulatory compliance case into Narconon UK, which claims to help people become drug free for good and had been promoted on the NHS website to examine concerns about its governance, administration, and management. The case comes after an observer investigation last month raised questions about practices at a facility run by Narconon in Heathfield, East Sussex. Former participants in the program were put through extensive exercises linked to a form of obedience training. Ex patients and staff describe how people were expected to follow repetitive commands, such as pointing at different objects, sitting perfectly still, or answering the same question over and over again for hours at a time. Some describe suffering extreme reactions to the exercises, such as panicking, zoning out, or going into a trance like states. One person said it felt like their mind had been shattered into a million pieces. Another said, "You're helpless there, and the only way out is blind submission or lose thousands of pounds." If I'd have had any concept of what the program actually was, I would have never have signed up. Narconon UK said that the allegations were inaccurate, misleading, and thoroughly distorted, adding that it was a world leader in rehabilitation and had saved thousands of lives. Now, I love how they say this, but they don't ever any show data for it. Just saying. Okay. It said its approach required discipline and was mentally strenuous, but denied it was harmful. Narconon's UK manager, Sheila McLean, said the drills were designed to teach the participants self determination, self control, and discipline, and to help them break away from destructive habits. These phases are not easy, but our feedback has been hugely positive, and the results speak for themselves. Again, we I'd like to see those numbers, but will they ever show the numbers? Probably not. Charities Commission said its case would look at safeguarding concerns that had been raised in the media, as well as examining the governance, administration, and management of the charity, including the submission of its annual accounts and returns. Notice how the Charity Commission is involved in this. I'm not really familiar, but is it because they accept donations? Narconon does? Probably. A case is not finding of wrongdoing, but may lead to further investigation or statutory inquiry. In cases where malpractice or misconduct is identified, the watchdog can take enforcement action. A spokesperson for the charity commission said, "We are engaging with the trustees. A charity should be a safe and trusted environment. As a regulator, we are clear that keeping people safe should be a priority for all charities." Launched in the US in 1966, Narconon is billed as a holistic, non medical, secular approach to rehabilitation. Its residential program lasts 3 to 4 months and it costs around £15,000. I think that's how you say that. It is based on the belief of L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology founder, that toxic drugs residue lodge in the body and create a biochemical barrier to spiritual well being. To remove them, patients refer to by Narconon as students complete a purification rundown, which is like, I guess, a sauna involving 5 hours of sauna sessions, treadmill exercises, and high dosage of vitamin, which I think is it niacin? Is from what I've heard. They later do psychological exercises and a life skills course. The goal is to achieve a clear body and a clear mind. The observer spoke to 9 people with knowledge of Narconon's UK operations, including ex participants and staff, who describe how people were put through these psychological drills lasting up to 5 hours a day for several weeks. Witnesses describe how some participants became paranoid, anxious, or acutely distressed. I saw people yelling and screaming, physical outbursts. Some people would laugh, others would cry, one person said. Others allegedly went into a hypnotic or trance like state, spacing out or experiencing depersonalization. The Observer investigation also reveals allegations that some participants were misled about the extent of the program's link to wider Scientology and raised questions about how it had been operating without an oversight from England's healthcare watchdog. A Freedom of Information request found that the Care Quality Commission, the CQC, received 19 complaints about Narconon, but did not look into 14 of these because it's considered them outside of its remit. The CQC has since suspended a prior good rating for the facility, which related to the provision of personal care, added a note saying it's currently dormant. Now, it is not the first time that Narconon comes into question, you guys. About 5 years ago, there was a shutdown on a Narconon facility here in the U.S.
Cannon County has been shut down after a 911 call leads investigators to a locked facility.
Inside, they found Scientologist literature, but more important, investigators say the staff wasn't qualified to care for its patients. News Channel 5's Jason Lamb takes a look at what else investigators found.
A 911 call from someone up this hill and behind this gate is what sent Cannon County deputies up here. They say they found a man who was locked inside a cabin and said he was being held there against his will. It was behind this gate that Cannon County deputies say was a rehab facility called Life Center for a New Tomorrow. Deputies say they arrived to investigate a 911 hang-up here back in February. Inside, deputies said they found someone who said he was being mistreated, falsely imprisoned,
And by the way, this is about 6 years old, just for those that are wondering. This happened in Tennessee, Canyon County, back in 2017.
Staff were Scientologists. There was a great deal of Scientology paraphernalia found throughout the facilities.
The assistant DA that worked on the case said
He said Scientology paraphernalia. You know, those Dianetic books, those e-meters. Yeah, that's paraphernalia. I love that word for Scientology stuff. It's paraphernalia. Love it. Love it.
deputies found 2 patients there, one of whom had a mental illness, the other being treated for substance abuse.
This facility was not capable of caring for the individuals it was taking in.
3 people were eventually arrested. Dennis Flamond and Hans Lytle were charged with false imprisonment. And
I wonder if they're Scientologists too. Or if they were at the time.
another man, Mark Valiers, was charged with facilitation of kidnapping. All of them pleaded either guilty or a plea similar to no contest and entered judicial diversion, meaning the charges could be expunged if the 3 stay out of trouble. The 3 agreed to shut down the facility they were running.
It's a danger in any field when you have somebody that's not qualified to do what they're setting themselves out to do.
Jason Lamb, News Channel 5.
In any facility, of course, you have to have qualified people, okay? Bad things happen when you don't have qualified people. And even bad things happen when you have qualified people. But specifically, Scientologists, I mean, they target the vulnerable population. They target the population that is struggling with substance use. Yes, they do.
We did try contacting the attorney representing the people arrested, but our phone calls were not returned. This isn't the first time Life Center for a New Tomorrow has faced scrutiny. In 2014, the state cited that facility for not having records of background checks or annual training for employees on file and having residents at the facility that they weren't licensed for, among other violations.
Well, like I said, I'm glad. And I just hope that they keep checking facilities, especially those that are run by a Narconon, a Scientology, New Life, Creations, Heavens, whatever the hell it was called. Again, that was about 2017, a couple years ago in Tennessee. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And of course, let me know your thoughts about this investigation that is happening in the UK for this Narconon that has. I'll see you guys in the next one. Rabbits out.